say hi to my friends on Twitch and YouTube here. I'm a little slow today with all of the things that I've got to get set up here. I don't know why I didn't just keep the template going, but from last time, but I didn't. So that's my fault on there. So uh, I'll just be a second to kind of make sure that I have all my audio stuff set up. This is, yep, good. The microphone's set for that. Let me go ahead and add the other microphone here. I have to actually put my microphone on here. I might as well say hi to you guys here. Let me get my camera up. Hi, everybody. I am live on YouTube and Twitch and Instagram. Instagram's right here. I just have to grab my little Beta 98. Just kind of fell on the floor. Don't ever let it go on the floor here. Um, today's class is going to be on the pop horn sound. If you've ever listened to like pop music, most people have heard some sort of pop song. In this kind of crosses cultures and different places on the planet too. Um, so it may be a little different also depending on which pop um, that you're actually referring to when you talk about pop. So I'm just going to show you some tricks about how I make my pop horn sounds when I go into the studio, when I am trying to do some recordings for myself too. And I'll give my best example of it. I don't know why I didn't. I actually tried as soon as I decided to do this class. I decided to write a pop song, and I got like most of the way there for through the hook. And I was like hearing the horn lines and getting ready, and I'm like, just it's not going to be ready yet, and I really want to send you guys off with a really good product when you listen to it. So if you give me a little chance on that to kind of try to make that happen here, and let me get at least I can get the Twitch chat up. Um, I do want to make sure that we are live on YouTube also, but let me see if I can find. Oh, maybe I can't get the Twitch up. I hate my iPad. It automatically offloads all of my apps. Um, Drives me crazy. Here, just 1 second. Let me grab my microphone here. Oh, this is probably on too, huh? Testing. No, it's not. All right. Um, but anyways, I digress. Let's get started with this here. So again, today's lesson is a brass lesson. It's on pop horns, sounds, starting points, defining traits, and how to reproduce it. I'm defining this level as kind of like pro am. The only reason like I kind of identified this level as something a little different is because the last level that I had, the last one I did, I kind of made it. Um, I made it so it's kind of like level 0. Good, this is up and running. The stuff I'll show you, it executes a little bit differently on trumpet and trombone, but it's essentially the same kind of concepts that you'll, kind of get, whether you're on. Okay, what are you watching it on? I can see, or I can bring it up, I guess, a little bit, but it's like, here, is that better? I turned the gain a bunch up, so just give me a thumbs up if that's better on there. At least there's no music playing in the background like last time. Oof. All right. Anyways, so that should be better. I just cranked the gain on my which one is this? My SM58. Can you hear me now? Yeah? Yeah? Maybe? I'm getting yellow on the level there for the SM58. I'll just go with that. So anyways, we have pop horn sounds. Okay? You might, if you're a little confused as to what I am describing here, literally you can listen to any pop songs that you listen to. But I don't mind giving you guys a good example of this. This is my quote. This is one of my comments on this video. It's extremely underrated. That's a quote. Listen. Actually, no, wait. It's better than that, isn't it? Let me just look really quick. Criminally underrated video that I have on YouTube. This is my shot at my arrangement of the Persona 5 theme. Wake up, get out there. Here it is. I'll show you this. This is just my example of pop horns, okay? And that is
this competition
that.
just blew wide open, folks.
Oh, my bad. On it. Let's transfer back here into this. That's what happens when you play on YouTube here. I'm going to inevitably have to cut that, I think. And I don't know. I just went all crazy with my Instagram one, too. Oh, you saw my messy desk here. And stuff like that. Okay. Cool. Well, things happen live. So, all right. Anyways, so we're back to slide 1 here on here. I'm I'm just gonna pop up a chat here and see if there is anybody on that could answer, maybe answer some questions. So I'm just not like talking to the void here. So my goal was to try desperately to not have Twitch silence me for copyright music. So I picked one of the ones that I didn't get a copyright claim on YouTube for. So that's why I picked that particular piece there. So if there's anybody that is watching right now, and I can kind of tell a little bit, did you guys hear anything special about like the horns and that the trombone and trumpet, especially when they played together? And I'm gonna try to bring up the chat. I got it. I have it up now. I can actually look at the chat. So there's a type of sound that I can't really duplicate here because part of it is done in the studio. So let me go to the next slide here and I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's define this first though. There's a definitive sound that people expect when you're listening to pop music with horns, all right? This sound is probably a little bit, it's close to jazz, but it's not quite jazz. It's pretty unique from jazz. So like some types of jazz maybe sounds like this, but not a lot of auto-tune. They save the auto-tune for the vocals usually. Not a lot of auto-tune. There is like a certain kind of like auto-tune plastic wrap that gets put on tracks in the studio for pop, and I think it's just to make it so like if you do use auto-tune on the vocal, everything sort of still sounds uniform. Like so if it sounds like it sounds like everywhere, it doesn't tip off the fact that you're using auto-tune on the vocal. One of the things that is done, and I definitely did it in that I did it a little bit in the Persona one, was doubling. You double the horn parts. So it's not because you need it to be louder or your ensemble needs to be bigger, but it's literally just the timbral difference of playing exactly the same notes layered on top of each other with a tiny bit of a delay. So it's a cool effect. A lot of the pop horn sound kind of depends on that. But there are some things still technically that you can do to make the process easier for the studio. All right. And that's where I'm going to try to go on here. Articulations is definitely part of it though. Cool attacks on the articulations. Cool. So I'm going to take a trumpet here, and I'm pretty sure this is plenty loud enough. And if it isn't, that's okay, because I really don't want to blast your ears out or blow any speakers out for you guys. Let me get my mic adjusted a little bit here. Come on, move. And so really sharp kind of articulations is what you're going to tend to hear in here. I switch back to my camera there. Okay, so we go to this page here. So we're talking about articulation first here. We'll go into air, dynamics, and then practice, of course. I didn't even think I made a slide for practice, but you have to practice the parts, all right? You literally just can't walk into a session without practicing. It just doesn't work. So let's go to the next thing here. I'm not going to even bother switching back here. Articulation. Articulations can vary, just like any genre of music. However, let me move myself here. However, they tend to be a little more obvious and a little less subtle in pop music. So sometimes that translates into a little louder. Definitely more emphasis on the beginnings of notes, and kind of almost like a more clear, more definite end on the notes and space between the notes. Not necessarily space between the notes, but like definite little blocks of sound. Almost like a computer could do it. And I know in drums, when they sample, when they do pop drums, I imagine they always yeah, there's nothing subtle about pop music. That's right. um when they do recordings for drums in certain genres, pop is one of them. They will actually sample the drums, and they'll go in on a program like FL Studio or Pro Tools or something like that, and they'll literally like move everything into razor precision where it's supposed to go, where it's supposed to be. And that is one way that the studio can do it for you. But again, if you are an ace on your instrument, you can make it do anything you want. And that just takes time and practice and getting used to it. Slurs, they're still slurs. They're fluid. But they're also the parts that are accented, like the beginning parts of the slurs, they're a little bit more punctuated at the beginning, certainly in a much more substantial way. Sometimes register can often lead to a predictable change in the horn articulation also. Definitely the higher up you go, unless it's really notated to be, softer, more tame or something like that, it's a trend in pop music to just have more energy, so more power. The higher you go, the louder it gets a little bit, and the harder the accents tend to be. It's just brings up the level of excitement. It's like the chord changes, the harmony changes, where they go up like just. I'm hearing Beyonce in my head, "Love on Top." I think there must be like six modulations in that song. At the end, it just keeps on going up a half step each time, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm jamming to this, but at the same time, I'm like, how many more? It's kind of like the fake endings that Beethoven would have with his codas, his notoriously infamous codas. I'm gonna catch a lot of fire for these comments here, I think. Stronger articulations like the mercato or staccato should be clear. Sometimes it sounds like the staccato is short, but it all depends on the context. And if you listen to tower or power horns on it, the short can be very short. It can be like, can almost be like this. I'm having a hard time even emulating it, how short they do it. But it could very well be. And that it's got a little bit longer of that block of sound, but definitely still got the space on both sides. So that's one way to look at the articulations on that. Let's see here. So I guess I'm just kind of jamming on this. This is, it's all relative. Music is relative. It is. And you know what? I know that there are musicians out there, really good musicians out there, that probably looked at the title of this and they're like, pop music. What? Not classical, not jazz, not even jazz music. Jazz gets a lot of fire too. Not nearly as much, I think, today as when I was growing up, but we have to look at every genre. If we're professional musicians, we look at every genre as, it's got value. Every genre has value. Every musical background has value. In jazz, where there are places where the notes aren't even written, that's a technique. That's a superior technique. It's really, really difficult, actually, to play all of the right notes when the right notes aren't there. And pop music. So the challenge with pop music, I think, is the form. the form and the appeal. It's music designed to appeal to a broad audience. And on some level, on some huge level, it is commercial. It is a product meant to be sold. Absolutely. Um, but there is sort of an artful technique to it also. Like that's always kind of impressed me a little bit. So I'm glad that you're sticking with me here and exploring it today with me. So, and that goes on to that goes definitely into this next part here. We always talk about air when we talk about wind instruments here. And air in a pop songs are extremely formulaic. Extremely. You don't catch too many of them past 4 minutes. There's a record company reason for that. Old one. Doesn't exist anymore. Pop horn sound. Air. Air, I try to relate this back to thinking about if you ever tried to sing along. You don't have to admit to me. If you sang along in the car to like a pop song. You get caught up in the moment, all right? And you're singing along to Britney Spears or Panic at the Disco or something. You're singing along to somebody, okay? In the car. You don't have to admit it. It's happened. Many of us have done that. All right. And, stop for a second and think about it. Be like, if you ever think after singing that, be like, wow, I actually can sing this piece and it sounds pretty cool. It's my singing, I can do this. I could do this just as good as the singer, right? How many of you guys actually record that afterwards? Because I did. I thought, wow, this is really cool. Maybe I can learn singing. You don't want to hear me sing. I'm just gonna. Okay, it's not that bad, but I'm not gonna sing for you. I listened back to it, and I was kind of disappointed. If in case you couldn't tell, I was supremely disappointed. I thought I was so much better than I was. I was just listening to it and I'm like, wow, am I even singing the right song? I'm not even singing the right song. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even remember the lyrics. I'm just kind of humming through it. and it's amazing. It's amazing the contrast. You think when you hear it in your head, when you hear your voice in your head, you hear it as something totally different. Everybody else around you hears is the poor souls around you are the ones that suffer from your singing of that pop song. So I went a little bit deeper though. Because I was like, I got a music degree. I should be able to sing. I took some singing. I should be able to do this. Okay? And I listened. And I was like, so what is this person doing? What does the phrasing sound like? I started thinking real academic musical like. And I got it. I got one of the things that the vocalist is always doing, whether it's in the studio or not. They are always playing with huge amounts of air support. Huge amounts of air support. The good pop singers that are really popular, that are singing, in fact, singing their music, they have huge amount of air support. So here are some of the rules that I came up with for this, and they translate into pop horn stuff, because pop horn stuff, we'll get into it. So you want to have your air to be constant. Any kind of pop melodic sound, pop harmonic sound has to be constant air. It has to be supported by the same amount of air from the beginning, which means that you have to take more air than you need. In horn lines, you can make use of the often sparse horn parts. Sometimes it's just like bop, bop. It's like a lot of like different like offbeats or rests and stuff like that. And you can make use of the rests there to take a breath. All right. But one of the cardinal sins here is that when you breathe, you don't break the phrasing. Not at all. There's no excuse to break the phrasing in pop horns unless you're playing one of my parts, which I don't like a whole lot of rests in it. So that would make a big difference there. So don't if you had to like, let me see if I can get a piece here. There was one of the ones I was looking at. I actually do have the video for this too. Let me get that up. I was looking at, I have the score for my Coco Over the Moon here, and that one we didn't get a copyright claim for that one either, so I can definitely share that with you. But I'm gonna share the media file this time so we don't end up with a bunch of YouTube ads that I will get stopped for. Let me pop that up here because I did find that. But in Coco Over the Moon, there's a lot of phrases that need to happen, and if you breathe during the phrase, then it's no longer going to have that block of sound. So let me see if I can find it still. It's in here somewhere, one of these silly folders here. I'll try not to pick up a Coco Over the Moon. I think, yeah, this one of these here. Make sure this is the one. Yeah, here it is. All right, let me see if I can bring that up and you can check it out. I'm going to start it over here. I'm going to let the guys on Instagram hear it too. this one. Here it is. Right, and the reason I think we got away with that one was because it is a mashup. Technically, it's um, you notice that the whole thing wasn't from Coco's Disney's Coco. Part of it was from a Netflix original um, called Over the Moon. That's why it's Coco Over the Moon. In that, I actually have the score to that right here on my iPad. I was looking at it the other day actually. There are like almost zero rests in all of the parts, especially the trumpet parts, and the ending there where it's got the legato kind of notes there. So that'll lead us. That's just kind of some examples on phrasing for that, but that'll lead us into kind of the next section of this, which is, oh wow, where is it? Well, that's a little awkward. Let me get back into this one here first, and I'll fix that. The last one is dynamics, and this is where I wanted to kind of like give a cautionary tale, because I played a session one time, and it was coming out pretty good. It was coming out pretty good. It was a little bit of one of those, sometimes a lot of the sessions you want to make sure you play everything perfectly as best you can in sessions, but sometimes the artist will also be interested in kind of composing a little bit during the session too. This one was one of those, and that was kind of cool. So I can't remember exactly how many times I played these parts, but I played them. They kept on being like, okay, really lay into it. I'd be like, okay, cool. All right, I'm laying into it. The whole time they're turning my monitor headphones down. Or at least it seemed like it to me. Anyways, maybe they didn't, but it definitely felt like it to me that they tried to turn my monitor headphones down, which is a problem, by the way, because if you are recording in the studio and you're trying to play with dynamics, then you really can't. Uh, you can't play accurately with dynamics if you can't hear yourself. And the problem with that I had is I literally was in the headphones. I couldn't hear myself. I was way too soft. I heard everybody else super clear, myself not. And I remember the session pretty well. It was kind of funny. My section mate on trumpet, he looked over at me, and it was pretty amazing. He said, Nate, you're playing so loud, man. I don't think I've ever heard you play that loud, like ever. And I was a little proud of myself until I thought about it. I'm like, I can't feel my lips. Wow. It was super painful. So one of the cautionary tales is that, you want to make sure that, not to compromise. If the engineer in the studio has got your headphones turned down and you can't hear yourself, you annoy them until they make it work. That's what the deal, because otherwise you'll end up hurting yourself. So here are my kind of like the laws on pop horn sound dynamics. Pop horn sounds are really in your face. They're absolutely going to be like high energy, maybe a little louder on louds and a little softer on softs. Sometimes their variation higher notes will end up being louder usually than lower notes. Follow the direction of the line. If it's going higher, then you might even kind of have your own little bit of a crescendo in there. Make sure your monitors are loud enough. Your headphones have to be loud enough. And, like I said, just tell the producer needs to be louder, and do it until it is loud enough. It's not healthy for you to play, louder than you need to. I feel like I was shaking the floor with how loud that was. It was not healthy for anybody around me. Don't overplay because you will hurt yourself. There is a tendency, like I said, with the high energy of pop music, there's a tendency to overplay. You're gonna want to. You'll feel like it. Don't avoid the avoid the tendency to overplay. Be careful breathing in during the phrase. This is another one. Don't break long notes. Oh man, is that copied from the last one? You know what? It's worth saying again. Let me see. Did I put that in the last one? I did. Yeah. So it's under air and dynamics. It's really an air one, but you know what? It's so important that, yes, it is worth saying again. It is absolutely worth saying again. I got to have more cowbell. I've heard some things, Steve. I really have. I've heard some things. I've heard a lot of things. Not more cowbell, but definitely other things. A lot of suspect other things. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Have a good sense of humor in it. Get the job done. That's what it is. Don't overplay when you do it. None of these charts are worth overplaying. Say it a third time. Yep. Don't break the phrases. Don't. Just don't. I don't know what to say about that. But that's it though, I guess, for now. There's I simplified it in a way that, it doesn't cover a whole bunch of topics in this. There are certainly other things like style when it comes to pop music. If you listen to other types of pop music, like I think is really interesting to listen to, like K-pop and J-pop, because they tend to kind of like absorb many different styles of like R&B, jazz, hip hop, and stuff like that, like kind of pushed together in its own unique way. It's really kind of interesting. But because of that, and it happens a little bit over here too. Pop I think has got a little more of a defined characteristic in the United States. It's not as much cross pollination, I don't think. Not recently, anyways. Maybe a little bit with electronic music, but in general, you have to kind of follow the style a little bit too. So if you are unfamiliar with the style of music that is in a pop song that you have to play, then maybe try to look at it before rehearsal or something like that. Try to look into that particular genre. If it sounds like funky, look up some funk. If it's drums and bass, looks up some drums and bass. So stuff like that. If it's got some swing characteristics in it, sometimes we had, how did he describe it? If it's ska, yeah, no ska. I'm going to lose all my viewers for saying, oh yeah, play some ska. Play ska. I'll lose all of my viewers when I say that. I just know that somebody's gonna jet. But what's the other one? This one that he had it like it was really cool. It came out really good. The track was never produced, but there was a track that I did where the horn lines was like an old like burlesque show kind of horn section, like old timey kind of thing, and it was awesome. Like slow 12/8 kind of feel, laying into it, real dirty blues, and it was really cool. But again, if you don't know that genre, it's going to make it a little hard to kind of adapt and to kind of fill in the space there. So yeah, Steve, that's what I think that's the term that they said in the studio. Like I said, I've heard some things. That's what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to play it like that. Yeah. That was the thing. A lot of flutter, a lot of growling, real guttural kind of horn sound and stuff. Not clean at all. Not very pop characteristic, but again, pop can pull out that characteristic temporarily as a vignette. That's kind of the cool thing about pop. That's That's like the interesting thing about pop, okay? Is that it could be this, it could be that. On the same album, you could have um, the same singer sing about 5 different genres, and that would be pop. It could still be pop. So it's really cool. It's really flexible. And again, yeah, it's modular. As modular, it can change. It's a shapeshifter. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I'm going to keep it to the 40-minute kind of maximum. I left this on like 10 minutes longer at the beginning. So it's around 53 minutes live total at the moment. I'm not sure what we're at on Instagram. What I may do is I may download the Instagram and repost it. Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate it. I hope that you guys do enjoy it and that it's helpful. And you know what? If you have any tips of your own that you use when you do pop horn lines, feel free to leave them in the comments or the chat. Absolutely, because like I said, this is just one way, and there's lots of other things that we can talk about with pop music and pop horns, and then there's even the technical side of it. So feel free to give me your feedback anywhere, and as always, thank you for coming.